podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Tremendous day hanging out with Kenny J's, getting a sample of what they can do for your corporate event, your church event, your wedding. You got a kid going on a mission. You want an event you need catered. You need some great food, and you don't want the hassle of worrying about doing it yourself. Kenny J's going to hook you up. Just give him a call right now. Kenny J's Barbecue, 801-230-5396.
Don't forget 10% off your catering order when you mention Hans and Scotty.
Yep.
And let's say you're doing a block party and you're serving a couple hundred. You know, you get in that $3,000 mark, $300 in savings just by mentioning the show. So call the number. By the way, that goes straight to Kenny.
Yeah, it does. That's his cell number.
You're not beating around the bush. You're not trying to find Kenny. Like, it goes to Kenny, the man that's going to be out there smoking that amazing brisket and feeding up the neighbors.
Let's go. All right, joining us now, BYU Cougar Insider for KSLSports.com, Mitch Harper. Mitch, how you doing, man?
Hey, Mitch.
Doing great, guys. Happy to be on.
Did you? Are you in the building? Did you come down and get some barbecue?
I am not. I was down in Provo for practice and wasn't able to get to the building. It sounds great, though.
That's commitment right there.
I just spent the first segment talking about McKay Hillstead and potential starter and how the hierarchy looks. When you look at the first day of practice, what were your walking away thoughts as far as what you think should be or might be the starter?
Initial impressions just overall of the quarterback position at large, it's going to be a mixed bag. It's up and down. I mean, the first quarterback that we saw in the media observation portion, we got about 20 minutes of observation. That was Trayson Bourget, who was with the first-team offense. His first ball was a great ball to JoJo Phillips on a post, and then a couple plays later he threw a pick, a poorly thrown ball to Raider DeMooney, and that's noteworthy considering BYU starter in spring, Jake Retzloff, he went all of spring with only one pick. Well, Trayson's already got one on the board just during a media observation portion. The second quarterback that we saw was McKay Hillstead. He was with the second-team offense in the media period. Kalani confirmed that, that McKay also was getting first-team reps throughout practice. Mixed bag, too. He didn't really show off the arm strength much. He had one ball that was deep attempt, but a lot of screens, and some of those were kind of in the dirt, poorly thrown. Again, it was just a little bit of a mixed bag. And then the last guy was Bear Bachmeier. He was also, like Trayson Bourget, running with the first-team offense. And to be honest, guys, in the media period, I thought Bear looked the best. But he also had some decisions that on some short intermediate throws that were low and at the guy's ankles. He did have a great pass to Chase Roberts deep. That Chase, oddly enough, his first practice back since the shoulder injury that he suffered against Colorado in the Alamo Bowl, he kind of bobbled it, and Chase was upset with himself. He still caught the ball and gathered it. But that was a nice ball by Bear Bachmeier. I thought Bachmeier was very, poised, calm, collected, but he's a freshman, and how much is a freshman going to learn the playbook? And I asked Bear about his knowledge of the playbook. He feels confident in his abilities. He noted that he was at Stanford and feels like he can learn things fast. But I was just talking with Jaron Hall yesterday, a former BYU quarterback who was the last guy to experience a three-man quarterback race at BYU, and he told me that Aaron Roderick didn't set any pillars or guidelines as to what it takes to win a quarterback battle, but the biggest thing was to set the tone in that camp was to know the playbook inside and out and know it as well as Aaron Roderick and the QB coach Matt Mitchell. And that's where you wonder, can someone like Bear Bachmeier close that gap between McKay Hillstead and Trayson Bourget? McKay Hillstead says he's not thinking out there. He feels like he's getting close to mastering that playbook, is what he said. I still lean McKay Hillstead, after day one of a brief window. But I think this is one of those battles where you could point to any one of these three guys. They have some strengths, some weaknesses, and it's going to be a little bit up and down until they really settled in and get some game reps behind them.
When you look at this team overall, obviously the biggest question mark is that quarterback position, but it really feels like there's so much good that could be coming down the pipeline for BYU with how much talent they have. Even if you can just get a game manager who just doesn't make the big mistake, they should still be okay. But that, even, with that scene that you described, that still might be a little bit too much to ask for.
I agree. I come away from those just brief 20 minutes where I think there's got to be patience. And, I think you're right, though, Scotty, that they've got the personnel around them. I thought the first team wide receivers were of note. Chase Roberts, Cody Hagan, JoJo Phillips. That looks pretty good. And those are some good pass catchers to throw the rock to, whoever that quarterback is. And Cody Hagan's into his sophomore year. He was banged up during spring ball, missed pretty much all of spring due to injury. He's going to be really good. Speedster out of Corner Canyon. People locally, of course, know him, but he was a national recruit. I think he's going to take off this year and have a significant role in this offense. The running backs are, I think, under a good place. I think the fact that, Harvey Unga and Aaron Roderick didn't turn to the transfer portal, a place where they have had a lot of success in getting talented running backs. They didn't go to that well because they like the personnel that they have from within. But which of note, too, at running back, no Hinckley Ropati. I know he was saying in the summertime that, he was going to be back with the team on his podcast. Did not see him. He's not on the official roster as well. And the official roster is at about 115 players, 10 more than that expected 105 cutoff until that lawsuit, allowed walk-ons to be on. So no Hinckley Ropati, but they still like with L.J. Martin, Sione Moa, Pokayawa Honga. There's pieces there. So if they can just get some stability at that quarterback position, trim down the interceptions that, Jake had a lot of those. He had 12 picks last season. He was tied for number one in the Big 12 for most interceptions. If they can rein that in, limit that, and get the ball to these playmakers, there are the talented difference makers on this offense compared to years past. It's a good spot for whoever the quarterback is that takes over this job.
BYU made a big move defensively, going to get Keanu Tanavasa out of the University of Utah for that D-tackle position, and then they went to Oklahoma State, and they got Kirkland at that defensive tackle position as well. What were your thoughts on Tanavasa, and give us any vision or any thoughts that you might have on Kirkland?
Yeah, Keanu Tanavasa is going to be the star of this defense. He has to take on that Tyler Batty role. It's been placed upon him, and he's got to be that guy. He is the leader of this defense. I think Glasker's the best player, but Tanavasa's got to be that vocal, almost spiritual leader that Batty took on for that defense last year, and that's going to be the role of Keanu Tanavasa. Today we did see with the first-team defense, he was paired up with John Talmoipeo, JT, number 55. He's going to be really good. Justin Kirkland was off to the side. Didn't see him in action during practice. He was there, but he was off to the sideline. We'll hear more from Jay Hill coming up this week, but Justin Kirkland's huge. Massive. They've got him listed at 6'3", 340, and I think that's what's of note of the D tackles that BYU has this year. They are not trying to transform guys and turn them into D tackles. They have men that are built to play the D tackle position, probably for the first time in about 5 years since they had Kairos Tonga. Last year they had John Nelson and Blake Mangelson, who were really good, and they were very talented defensive tackle in a defense number one in the Big 12. But remember, they were 235, 240 when they arrived on campus. They were DNs and they were developmental guys. These are players that have been born to basically be D tackles, and that fact alone, physically, I think there's a lot of optimism about that defensive tackle spot for BYU. But it's an interesting group, and they also added an interesting player who got a little bit of second-team reps. Kafusi Pafoke, defensive tackle, 6'3", 345, a senior from Weber State, a grad transfer. He was getting a few second-team snaps as well. He's a massive body as well. I thought that was of note, just considering, again, because they've got Anisi Purcell, a Southern Utah transfer. They've got some big guys, but there's still maybe opportunity for some jockeying, especially when Kirkland was sidelined, at least today, during the media observation portion that we watched.
Are you concerned about that Kirkland was not a part of the practice?
Well, I'll admit that was not a question we got answered. I wanted to get that in, but It was just he wasn't there. He was there at practice, but he just didn't participate. Don't really have the explanation as to that, but he just was off to the side. So
interesting. Something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
When you look at this BYU football team, expectations probably, I would say, top third in the conference with Jake Retzloff. Where are your realistic expectations for them now?
I think it's a 7-5 football team, 8-4, somewhere in there. And if they find that answer at quarterback early, and get some bounces go their way, they could be a 9-3, 10-2 team. It's there for the taking. I mean, the Big 12 is pretty wide open. I do think people underestimate the depth and the improved overall talent, I think, in the league, because despite less media rights than the SEC and Big Ten, these teams have loaded up in a big way in the transfer portal. I think the overall talent in the league is better than where it was 2 years ago when BYU joined the conference. So it's going to be a very difficult slate. I know that some would say that's probably one of the weaker schedules in the Big 12. I kind of disagree. I think there's just some tricky spots with how it all stacks up. But the nice thing is that, this quarterback, whoever ends up getting the reins, and if they can hold on to it throughout the season, they've got 4 weeks before they have that conference opener. And I think that the non-conference schedule is pretty light. So that creates, optimism that you can still maybe get off to a 3-0 start, because this defense should be really good. And with the linebacker talent and the defensive line, I think this is going to be a much improved group. And I think and that was a really good defense last year. I think it can be even better. I think the overall talent is there to be a really special defense. The safeties are in a great spot with Tanner Wall and Raider Demooney, who I mentioned earlier, getting an interception. And then you still got Falatau Satuala and Tommy Parasis. And then the quarterback position is going to be a lot of intrigue, I think, in fall camp, with Maury Bamba expected to take the throne as a senior. He got a medical red shirt to come back for 1 extra year, which was a huge addition, I think, for BYU's cornerback unit. And then it becomes the battle between Trey Alexander, a heralded sophomore out of Georgia, and then you got Evan Johnson, one of the fastest guys on the team with a 10-4 100-meter background and speed. He was one of the most improved players last year in the program, had an interception in the Alamo Bowl. He's now back from an injury that sidelined him during spring ball. So they've got personnel, and then Jonathan Cabea could be that new nickel, maybe an Eddie Heckard type player, 5'10", 5'11". He's built like Heckard. They envision him being in the Heckard mold. I mean, BYU, when they were recruiting Cabea, they showed him Eddie Heckard film because that's kind of the resemblance there with Cabea. So I think this is a talented defense, and they can win games where you score less than 21 points if needed. I mean, they did that last year in a key spot where you go on the road and win at a team that ended up going to the college football playoff in SMU. So this defense is good enough to carry in games, but that quarterback position, just a instant knee-jerk takeaway from day one. It's a work in progress, and there's going to need to be some patience. They're nowhere near, I think, as far as making it just clear, shut the door on this guy being a number one from what I saw, at least in that media observation right now. But if there's a player that really shines and takes off, I think it's better that they settle in and give that guy as many QB1 reps as possible.
Mitch, I was trying to put some things together. With this Jake Retzloff news really threw people for a tailspin, threw him a curveball. And it's just hard because it hits your expectations for the season. But when you look at guys like Will Farron being back and Kelly Popinga's genius with the special teams, and you look at Jay Hill's organization and his at least 2 all Big 12 linebackers that are back, you look at L.J. Martin, who should be a 1,000-yard rusher. I saw some people kind of going back and forth on it, like should he or shouldn't he or will he or will he should absolutely be a 1,000-yard rusher. If he stays healthy, I fully expect 1,000 yards out of L.J. Martin. There is a lot to be optimistic about, Mitch. Like I know that the Retzloff news hurts, but I want BYU fans to be optimistic. And as you're out there looking, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic for this season.
No question. I mean, the overall talent is in the best place it's been in Kalani's tenure since he took over, and he's in year 10. This is a talented team. I thought the tight end position, I think, is taking a step forward with the new addition of Kean Need. He's going to be more of a traditional blocker, but you saw him a little bit with first-team offense. Carson Ryan can be that, that tight end that you can line up out wide. Kean Need can be that traditional blocker and give you 2 tight ends. I think they've got versatility with the personnel. They can do a lot of different things. They've got depth, and they've slowly but surely built that up. And, that's been an area of focus for years from Kalani Sitake, and I think it's in a pretty good place. It's just the biggest position that has the biggest microscope is kind of a question. And they're 3 guys that probably took roads that you never would have expected to end up at BYU. All 3 of them were transfers. None of them were, high school guys that BYU landed. It's not the traditional path to BYU, but there's ability there from all 3. You saw moments, but it's just a mixed bag. And I think that's where and I think that kind of expected that going in, to expect some highs, some lows. And it's not going to be flawless, but you've got the personnel on the defensive side. I think the offensive line, too, is pretty good. I know you lose Caleb Etienne, a first-team All-Big 12 performer, and Braden Kime, but I asked Kalani today. He feels that they've got 9 deep at that offensive line position. We saw Andrew Gentry with the first-team offense at right tackle. Austin Leausa swung inside at right guard. And then the backup center, because Kyle Safaricik, a Southern Utah transfer, he was handling that right guard spot in spring. He goes to the backup center spot. So they've got options there, and they're in a pretty good spot, too, with Waylon Lapuaho leading the way, and Isaiah Jada seems to really have that left tackle position anchored down, the former Colorado transfer. So that's also a good piece for whoever this quarterback is going to be, that they've got an O-line that they feel is going to be pretty good. TJ Woods was down on the field wearing a T-shirt that said "Big Dog Business," and that's kind of the mentality that they're approaching this with, being big dogs up front. They've got to be good, because it's been a little bit of a pipeline where you're getting these tackles and you're producing them to the league. So the bar is high for what that offensive line is going to be for BYU in 2025 once again.
Asking you to look in the crystal ball here a little bit. Could you see a situation against Portland State where multiple quarterbacks play in the first half, not because the game's out of reach, but because they want to evaluate multiple guys?
I think history's shown us with Kalani and A-Rod, they like getting a quarterback. It's settling them in and not having them look over their shoulder. So I would lean to maybe no at this juncture, that they'd give that QB the reins, but I feel like they've got to be willing to make a change if things go sideways in a game. Like if you're experiencing a situation as you did 2 years ago against Sam Houston, where the offense is just stuck in the mud, and Portland State is not a good team. I mean, they've been bad really for a decade at the FCS ranks. This isn't like North Dakota State or someone like that rolling in. And if you're stuck in the mud against this team, why not make a change? And because Kalani has always talked, even a couple years ago when Slovis and Jake Retzloff, that transition was happening, it was always talked about competing and battling. And Kalani's always been big on that, even in-season competition. I would expect nothing less. If things aren't going well, make the change. You've got 3 guys. I think you're going to need at some point all 3 of these guys potentially. In a perfect world, sure. Have one of these guys just take off and away he goes, and he's the guy that just takes off and he's the QB for multiple years. But I think, you got to be open to any one of these 3 guys playing. And I thought it was noteworthy just the fact that, Bear Bachmeier stepping in and getting first-team reps, because every snap is valuable. And just to get that opportunity, I think it speaks to they want to see what all 3 of these guys have got. And I think then the timeline of how they trim it down to 2, I don't expect an announcement until probably the game against Portland State 1 month from now. But trimming that thing down to 2, I think, would be a huge step for really establishing who's this quarterback going to be this season.
Well, I think the schedule works out good for them to get going with it, with Portland State being so bad and Stanford being a step up, but really a bad group of 5 team or group of 4 team Power 4 team that BYU should handle. I think handle well and at least set some level of standard. So, Mitch, good stuff, man. Appreciate you coming on with us.
You bet, guys. Take care.
You got it. There he is, Mitch Harper, Cougar BYU insider for KSLSports.com.
It's great scheduling.
Yes.
For what they need now.
This is a good year to not start like BYU or like Utah with UCLA.
Yeah. Even UCLA, who had 5 wins in the Big Ten last year, That's not a team that I want to see them start with right now.
Nope.
Get a Portland State and get it established. Again, I still feel like it's McKay Hillstead. And just see.
Yes.
See if he knows your offense.
Yep, I agree. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The wheel is loaded, and it's time to talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette with Hans and Scotty on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Can't have any fun with you guys.
Okay, well, we want to talk about what happened last segment, too?
No. I'll make amends.
I'm sure it's fine. It was fine. It was fine.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Sports Roulette, we take some big storylines, put on roulette wheel, we spin it. Wherever that little ball lands, what we end up talking about. All right, Lloyd, fire it up.
Injuries are just the worst.
They are the worst, Lloyd. Zach Moss, former Ute running back, was released by the Cincinnati Bengals. Started training camp on the non-football injury list after suffering a season-ending neck injury last year. He had signed a 2-year deal with the Bengals worth $8 million last year. He and the Bengals agreed to a restructured contract worth about $1.7 million. He will get a good chunk of that money, but they've released him as he is not quite healed from that neck injury.
Dang, man. Neck injuries are so bad, Scotty. When you feel that neck starting to go, that's such a scary thing as a football player.
You go from potentially making $8 million to making just a hair north of $1 million off of that contract because of your body letting you down, unfortunately. It's nothing that you can really control.
It's always amazing to me, these guys that have amazing runs with their health. And they're just always available. You know, guys like Wes Welker, like there's no reason that guy should have been always healthy. A guy like Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
He just never gets injured. And that's a position that gets injured a lot. Twisted ankles and hyperextended knees. And there's just guys that have incredible luck, and then there's guys that just isn't in the cards for them. But
yeah.
Worries me. Anytime a neck is brought up, it worries me because when those discs start to go, when they start to degenerate, when they collapse, there's not much you can do. If you go with a replacement surgery, that'll take you out of the game. If you go with a fusion, that'll take you out of the game. We did see Peyton Manning go through a couple of procedures, and he made his way back. I think Chris Hoke, did he have his neck surgery after his career or before his final year? I think it might have been after his career. By the way, I see a lot of neck surgeries. Old teammates that have their necks pinned up or can't turn the right way. The neck is such a vulnerable area in this game.
I mean, you played, if you include your redshirt year where you were practicing and getting beat up like anybody else, 5 years of college, 3 years of NFL, 4 years of AFL. I mean, I know you don't take this for granted because you talk to all of your teammates. The fact that you came through that relatively pain-free is absolutely actually miraculous.
And I didn't know at the time how grateful I would be for that. But as I turned the corner here on a certain number to another number, I'm just so thankful. I'm like overly thankful. I was working out this morning and just having no pain, being able to work out free, feel like my body is strong, and looking at some of my old teammates like, I know people look at former football players and they're like, geez, he played football, he's fat. Oh, he's out of shape. Oh, he's disgusting. Typically, that's because their body hurts.
Yeah.
They just can't do what they need to do to keep themselves in shape. There are some that just let themselves go because they're sick of trying. But, a lot of guys, their body just can't do it.
Yeah, there's the pain levels through the roof.
Yeah. And that leads to addiction.
Yeah.
And that addiction eventually leads to a premature death, which is terrible, but it's a major problem that we're finding in this world. So my thoughts are going out to Moss because I know he's got to be in a pretty terrible mental space that if his body stayed healthy, he could do it better than anybody, but he's just having a hard time doing that.
And he's still just 27 years old. I mean, still really relatively young. All right, Lloyd, go ahead and spin it.
Prime makes it hard to hate him.
He really does.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I want nothing more than to just throw Prime under the bus time and time again. But and look, let's be honest, they sent out the video because they like to promote how cool they are and all the good things they do, and that's fine. But he's got a running back who's named Charlie Offerdahl, and he suffered a really nasty concussion near the end of the last season and realized that he just didn't have it in the cards to continue playing. Doctors said, you've had one too many concussions, you really need to shut it down. So he gets in front of the team and says, hey, you know what? I love you guys. I appreciate everything you've done. I still want to be around you, but I'm having to retire from the game of football. Medically, I just can't do it anymore with these concussions. And Prime gets up and says, guess what? You will remain on scholarship for your final year at Colorado. We will pay for your schooling, and then made a plea on his own Instagram account because Charlie Offerdahl wants to be a dentist. I want to be a dentist. And anyway, and said, hey, either I'm going to take care of it or somebody's going to take care of it. We're going to get this guy's dental school paid for because he's a great human being. He's a good person. He gave everything he could to this football team. We want to give everything back. And Prime says he's going to round up somebody to pay for his dental school too, which, you know,
so cool.
Undergrad's one thing. Once you go to medical school, those prices increase dramatically.
Told you I'd sign with Prime tomorrow. I don't know how long he's going to be there. I worry about his health.
Yeah.
Finding out that he had bladder cancer.
Bladder cancer, yep.
And had a tumor removed, and he's fighting through that. You can't help but love the guy. I do. Yeah, it's obnoxious that he comes into media day and he ignores our station and he ignores everybody, really, for the most part. He'll do a little bit of TV where he can put the big smile on and he'll shake hands and love up the commissioner. But you know what? When it comes to being a football player, I don't care about that crap. I don't care about how my head coach cold shoulders media because he's sick of it. He gets asked a question by whatever it's Athlon or whoever he's got a grudge with, and he's like, I'm not answering.
No.
Who do you work for? Athlon. Yeah, you guys, that's clown business. What you guys did to me, that's clown business. He's probably got some right to do that. I'm sure he's been taken advantage of in media. I'm sure that there have been negative storylines that were generated. And I'm sure he's got an axe to grind. And right now he's in a position he can grind it. What I care about is how does my head coach not treat me? I'm not talking about does he baby me and pamper me, but is he fair with me?
Yeah.
If I give him my all, will he give me his all? I think he's the kind of guy that'll give you his all.
Well, this Offerdahl was a walk-on and had 150 yards rushing the season before Prime got there and had the most rushing yards ever by a walk-on in Colorado. Well, Prime goes up and he runs everybody off. Well, not only does he not run this guy off, he actually puts him on scholarship in 2024. So he not only survived the massive cuts by Deion Sanders, Deion was impressed by him enough that he gives him a scholarship. And then once he ends up unable to play anymore, this isn't a thing where Prime's like, all right, this gets us an extra scholarship. So let's, the doctor says you should shut it down. No, Prime actually gave him a scholarship. Yeah. And this kid worked his butt off for him, and Prime treated him fairly.
See, I think that is the key to great leadership. Identifying who's giving you the most and compensate them rightfully for what they give you.
Yes. Yep.
If they're giving you more output, if they're giving you more production, if they're giving you their effort and their all, if they're doing extras, then reward them for that. That's great leadership.
Yep.
Poor leadership is when somebody's producing and working their butt off and doing the extra things, and you ignore it. That's poor leadership. So great job here by Deion Sanders.
Yep. All right, 2:50. We'll wrap up this bad boy next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, big shout out to our buddy in law enforcement. Tony Brown, Officer Tony Brown.
I love you, Tony.
Tony, we apologize. Tony went down to Kenny J's in the district to say hi to us, and we weren't there, but he did get some great barbecue. So
we've had a few listeners go through the joint.
I actually saw that come in a little bit before you guys were even on.
Oh, really?
Because I was listening to DJ and PK, and I think it's from them.
Yeah, they said
because
this
they were
morning.
like, "Hey, they're going to be with Kenny J today." They didn't really say.
And I wasn't
going
to correct him when I was on with him, so I thought.
But I kind of saw that coming for a while.
Well, if you are out at the district and you're hitting up Kenny J's, you're welcome because you're going to leave with a smile.
And you didn't have to see our ugly mugs.
And a
so
full belly. Yeah. How nice is that? You got to eat and not have to stomach our sound. But you enjoyed an amazing meal. And for those of you that haven't tried Kenny J's, all I'm asking, just go give it a try. And it's going to be some of the best barbecue that ever passes your lips. It's going to be some of the best barbecue that you've allowed those taste buds to experience. So get in there, swirl it around, enjoy it, because Kenny J, you've got it dialed in, buddy.
Hey, and if it's not their thing, they at least get to meet Mrs. Kenny.
Yeah.
And she refuses to come on.
We were a little
talk,
bummed we didn't get to see her today. I mean, she was here, but I didn't have a chance to talk to her because she was mingling. She was in her element today.
Yes, and that's how she is. That people, I don't know that people even come for the barbecue. Actually, I think they just come to talk to Mary.
I love it, man. She's so sweet.
She is.
She's just one of the most sweet and kind people. And, you can see it in the service. You see it in the smiles of the workers there, Kenny J's. You see it in her interior designing, the way she built out that dining area. I want you to get into Kenny J's and see why this is the best barbecue that you can get your hands on here in the state of Utah. And, Kenny, I know you're doing everything to keep your prices very, very fair. I know you're doing everything to keep your quality extremely high. I know all these things mean a lot to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like what? Beef's going crazy, right?
Yeah.
Beef's going crazy right now.
Yeah.
And we haven't adjusted anything. I kind of just, I'm like, look, it's going to be more expensive right now, but
it's
at some point it's going to drop. It's, it's like the market, I guess, whatever. Beef's actually a thing that people.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's a commodity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure,
For sure.
like, trade it.
Anyway, so, we do our best. We, dialed in on our pricing and keeping it. And it's like an experience, really, because a lot of the reviews, they'll talk about the food, but then they talk about the people too.
Yeah.
And not just Mrs. Kenny. It's like, oh my gosh, the people behind the line and all of that. So, yeah.
Well, and there's some people out there that, they want to get into barbecue, but they feel like a little intimidated because everybody talks like they're barbecue experts, whether they are or not. And so they're like, well, I don't know what to order. I don't know what to do this. Everybody says this is good, but I'm not sure. You just go in and say, like, hey, look, I want to try the best of the best. What do you got? And they're like, you know what? Try this. We'll give you some of this and see where you're at. And you can really get it dialed in and have a true barbecue experience.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll just throw a slice of meat on there, whether it's turkey or
I've noticed you've been very friendly
rib
with
on
that.
there,
yeah.
and it just, it's what we do, and we want it to be a great experience and people to love it because that's when they'll come back.
I know we asked you what your favorite is, and you said your smoked turkey. I want to know, what are you most proud of as a new business owner, a new barbecue restaurant owner?
Well, I mean, I've been doing the food for a long time, but like I said, we're better at it. I think our team is cooking better than we ever have. But it's just, a guy said it that. The gentleman, my neighbor that did all the architecture work, like all the renderings and stuff like that, he says once you have that responsibility because you have employees now and you want the business to do good, not because selfish reasons, but to give back to the employees and, their families are counting on it and all of that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think like for me, it's putting something together where we can support a lot of people, right?
So great.
And we can't do that without our customers who support us. So it's just like
we're all together.
The Lion King or whatever.
Yeah, Circle of Life here.
Circle of Life here, and it's just that's what we want to do and build something that's long lasting.
Let's go, folks. Let's do it. Kenny J's, the brand new restaurant in the district. Swing by there. And remember, Kenny J's will come to you with catering. If you've got a family reunion or you've got a wedding or you've got a corporate event, Kenny's going to give you 10% off that first catering order. All you have to do is call 801-230-5396. That's 801-230-5396. I tweeted out a video of his setup that will come right to you and give you the best barbecue you'll ever have. It's Kenny J's Barbecue. Whether it's catering, whether it's a restaurant, you're not going to find any better barbecue in the state. It's all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.